Kinky Friedman has died, and that means nothing to most of you, and it doesn't register with most people in Austin nor the rest of the state. And that's sad. And I'm going to tell you all the reasons why that's sad. It's sad, for one, because we became friends and became friends in the most bizarre way. But also, and this, I'm sad for all of you that don't know much about the guy or had a chance to live through what it's like to find people in media that push boundaries. I mean, really push boundaries. I admired Kinky Friedman's talent. And I admire not just his talent, but his boundary-pushing way of going about the business. The man took risks that most people are terrified of taking. And that's too bad, and it's sad for you. You hear the term weird often. People have no idea why they're using it, particularly when it comes to Austin. Many of you know many people, see many people, hear it all the time. You like to use the term weird. You think you live in a city in Austin that embraces weird. You not knowing Kinky Friedman is exactly what I mean when I say, with all due respect, you have no idea what weird is or what weird was like, and that's a shame. You really don't know what you're talking about, and Kinky Friedman is the precise example I can use. And that's too bad, because you don't know. You don't get it. The death of Kinky Friedman is, I hate to sound old Austinite, but I think you need to know this, and you need to read about him. But the death of Kinky Friedman is another reminder we're not weird. Not even close. No way. You couldn't take Kinky Friedman. Most people you know couldn't take Kinky Friedman. You'd be terrified. Let me tell you about Kinky Friedman and the crazy way we became friends and how he was a frequent guest on my show. And it bothered a lot of people. He didn't care, and I didn't care. And it was great. Now imagine this for a second. I mean, there's so much about him that you could never pull off today, and people who throw around the term weird really don't get it. But imagine somebody today having a band called the Jew Boys. Really? You think that'd fly? How about that? He did. And he said it a lot. He pushed boundaries, but he did it in this genius, creative way with creative energy. Of course, this was a time and this was a city which embraced risk-taking. Weird really mattered. Weird was embraced. He was a fabulous writer. A brilliant sense of humor. And he had the ability to take on anybody. Okay, now there was a time when you weren't an ass kisser and a suck-up. That we really did embrace people like Kinky Friedman that took risks and took on everybody, took on the establishment. He was never once afraid. So he took on anybody and everybody, including making fun of religion, which of course would not be tolerated, making fun of government, and making fun of himself. Brilliantly. And laughed the whole time. And by the way, smoked a cigar constantly in my studio. Constantly. And if I said, Kinky, can we just hold off for a few minutes? And he would say, up yours. Evan Smith, who was then the editor of Texas Monthly, took a risk, pushed a boundary by making Kinky Friedman a regular columnist. Now, this is when people would read. It was funny, it was edgy, it was offensive, it was brilliant. It was a genius move to jar a state that needed a kick in the shins, to go after politicians, to make fun of himself, make fun of religion, make fun of anything he wanted, whenever he wanted to. Then he decided to run for governor. Now, this is a time, I know this is all foreign, this is not that long ago, but things have changed so much, and so we live in a sort of a hate-filled culture world now, where there's not much of a sense of humor. People are too dumb to have a sense of humor now. There's just too much rage to have a sense of humor. But he ran for governor. I believe he made the announcement on my show. I think that's right. This was at a time when there was a level of tolerance in challenging office holders, and Kinky was Friedman. It was fearless. I mean, it was tolerated. I mean, even the politicians laughed it off. They did. And he was fearless. His campaign slogan, "Why the hell not?" That was his campaign slogan. And he said it all the time. So he went after both parties. He was hilarious. He did it with a vengeance, a comical vengeance. People loved it. Imagine someone today. So you can't joke about, well, we don't have any tolerance for joking anymore, but imagine somebody today saying something like, "Vote for me, why the hell not?" And then going, "You know what, that's a pretty good point. What you got, man?" And he kept saying, "Why the hell not? Why do you keep doing this?" He wore a black cowboy hat all the time. I never saw him without black boots. He smoked a cigar, always. Even in my studio, he got 13% of the vote. And Kinky Friedman was pushing for legalized gambling before anybody had the guts to mention it. He was talking about stuff that was uncharted territory in many ways. And people listened. They were funny, and they liked it. And he was well received, even when he offended you. He was a regular on my show because he said he liked me, and he liked that I was fearless too. And I said, "Anytime, anything you want to say, you offend me all day long." And he laughed. Now, we became friends for the weirdest reason, but it's an admirable reason. I saved his dad's dog. No kidding. The most random thing. I am sitting, I was teaching at the time. It was before I came over here to the studio, and I'm sitting at a brick oven restaurant, I think out on the patio, reading by myself. I see this cute little dog off of Great Hills Trail. Stoplight right there, Great Hills Trail. I see this little dog, and I'm thinking, please don't jump in the street. Surely that little dog's not going to jump in the street. Where is that dog's owner? I see this cute little dog do exactly what I was worried about, veer straight into Great Hills Trail. I get up, and I go across the street, and cars are doing the best they can to stop. I scoop him. I say something to him, and he stopped. And he ran and just jumped in my arms in the middle of Great Hills Trail. It's the cutest little dog. So I take the dog. I call the number on there. It's Kinky Friedman's father's dog. So somebody came over, said hi, picked the dog up, said, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Friedman is, he's worried sick about his dog," all this stuff. The next morning I get a phone call, "Jeff, Kinky Friedman here of the Texas Jew Boys." So, well, hey, Kinky, I can't thank you enough for saving my dad's dog. Turns out Kinky Friedman he didn't make a huge deal out of this. He was a dog lover to the point that he ran a very successful dog rescue camp and had done so for years. And he and I told him how much I cared about dogs, and I said I could not stand it another second to see that dog run in the street. And we, created this friendship over dogs, and I learned more about what he was doing with this rescue operation. I like what he stood for. I like creative people, and the fact that he liked dogs, of course, was winning. He was a boundary-pushing, fearless artist and media person. Okay? There's not many of those anymore, and there's not many you can laugh with. So it was always a good place for him, even though a lot of people were offended when I had him on, because he would say stuff that, was just uncharted territory. But what's funny is now a lot of you think weird. Kinky was weird and fun when you didn't know weird and fun, when it was really embraced. There was a 2-day period when I think back, it's not even that long ago really, but that's how much things have changed. We're so stiff, so plastic, so myopic. We live in so many echo chambers. There's no intellect or sense of humor anymore in this city at all. It's just a bunch of stiffs. There was a 2-day period where Kinky Friedman is on my show one day. I don't even know who he was railing on that day. Anybody and everybody, including me. And himself, too, by the way. So he was on. Then the next day, a 6'2", 230-pound Marine who became a transsexual who's running for Austin mayor was on my show. That person was Jennifer Gale. And you don't know weird. See, again, you don't know. This was all tolerated and embraced and fun and different. And so Jennifer Gale, Kinky Friedman had this brilliant, "Why the hell not me?" Jennifer Gale, if I remember correctly, was running for mayor. She would go to all the city council meetings and sing Rolling Stone songs to the council. And it was great. It was hilarious. And they laughed too. But I remember I kept saying, okay, Jennifer, so what exactly, you're going to make this announcement on my show. You know, Kinky did it yesterday. Why the hell not me? So what's yours? And her push was for vitamins for everyone. That was her campaign, signature campaign idea. Everyone is going to get vitamins in Austin. I have no idea how. Just thought, well, that's interesting. And I believe it was vitamins and glucosamine. I said, okay, well, you've made the announcement here today. All citizens of Austin, Mayor Gale wants to give you glucosamine and vitamins. And people laughed, had a good time with it. This was a time when different people were embraced. It was fun. It wasn't a place full of hate and fighting. And they were fun. They were decent people who pushed the establishment, always, in a quirky way. And the funny thing is, not that long ago, the establishment took it pretty well. They kind of rolled with it. It was fun. It was typical. That's just what a city council meeting would look like. It was weird when weird was real, when weird was funny and interesting and different, and people actually liked it. So read about Kinky Friedman. If you want to pretend you're an Austinite that digs weird, read more about Kinky Friedman. Because there's no way, unfortunately, he wouldn't care. He wouldn't care if you liked it or not, I promise you. But I don't think it'd be well tolerated today. And that's too bad.